The night sky above Earth was no longer silent. Strange signals moved through the darkness, bouncing between old satellites and new defense platforms. Ships in low orbit changed their paths quietly. On the planet below, most people slept, but in one hidden base under the Arctic ice, a small group stayed awake. They were not soldiers. They were watchers. They had heard a whisper from deep space, a whisper meant for someone else, but caught by Earth's listening posts. In a dim control room, green screens showed lines of alien symbols. No one spoke for a moment. The air smelled of cold metal and ozone. A man named Dr. Malik, thin and pale from years of working underground, stared at the symbols. He had seen many strange messages before, but this one felt different. It was not only a message. It was a command. It spoke of borders, of moving fleets, of a harvest zone. And it mentioned Terran space, as if it were an empty road to cross. "They don't know," Malik whispered. "They think Earth is nothing." Beside him, Commander Reyes, tall and quiet, clenched her hands. She had fought in space once, on the edges of the asteroid belt, but this was bigger. "We must wake the Council," she said. Now. Far above, on the other side of the solar system, an empire stretched across hundreds of stars. Its ships were fast and silver, its captains sure of their power. They had crushed many worlds. They had burned cities without a thought. In their halls, humans were a forgotten footnote, a primitive species locked in one small system. To them, Terran space was an empty dark lane between richer targets. A single fleet of the Galactic Empire now waited near the edge of Neptune's orbit. Its leader, an admiral with skin like blue stone, watched Earth through long-range sensors. He smiled, thinking of easy prey. His orders were clear: test the small planet, push across its edge, and take what could be taken. He did not expect resistance. He did not even imagine it. Back on Earth, the Council met in a deep vault. They spoke in low voices. Some wanted to stay silent, to hide, to pretend nothing had been heard. Others wanted to send a signal back, a warning. But the president of the council, an old woman named HFY, stood slowly. Her eyes were sharp. "We do not run," she said. "We do not hide. If they cross into Terran space, they will regret it." The room fell quiet. This was not an empty threat. For years, Earth had been preparing. Outwardly, humans looked weak, divided, slow. But under the oceans and inside hollow asteroids, new weapons waited. Silent fleets of dark-hull ships drifted where no telescope could see. Long-range cannons and invisible mines lined the edges of the solar system. Earth had learned from watching others. Earth had not forgotten old wars. In the Arctic base, Dr. Malik sent the intercepted message to every hidden outpost. Red lights flashed. Code words echoed across secret channels. Shield protocol, dark wings, silent net. All were ready. Commander Reyes put on her black uniform. "We will not fire first," she said softly, "but if they cross the line—" She left the sentence unfinished. Malik nodded. His hands shook, but his eyes were steady. He thought of his family sleeping far away. He thought of the blue planet under his feet. He thought of the Empire's admiral smiling across the void. "They will learn," he whispered. "They will learn what Terran space means." Above, the first Imperial scouts began to move. Small ships with sharp noses, engines glowing like cold fire, slid past the orbit of Pluto. They sent back pictures of dark space, of nothing. No human ships showed on their scans. They laughed in their alien tongues. Easy prey, they thought. Easy sky to cross. But in the black between stars, shapes moved without light. Human ships, built for silence, glided behind them. Invisible to normal sensors, they matched every move. A quiet game of shadows began. On Earth, no news channels spoke of it. Children went to school. Markets opened. Clouds drifted. Only the watchers, the commanders, and the hidden crews knew the truth. At midnight over the Pacific, a coded signal rose from the ocean. It passed through satellites and into deep space. It was not a plea. It was not a cry for help. It was a line drawn. A simple, hard sentence in every known language: do not cross Terran space. The Galactic Admiral received it. He read it twice. He laughed. A warning from a farm world, he said to his officers. How quaint. He ordered his fleet forward. Engines burned brighter. The border was close. In the Arctic base, alarms began to pulse. The watchers saw the fleet moving. Reyes spoke into her headset. Her voice was calm. All units, stand by. This is the line. They cross, we strike. Dr. Malik closed his eyes. He felt the weight of history pressing. He imagined the stars shaking. He imagined the moment when the Empire would understand that Earth was not a farm world. Earth was something else. And somewhere in deep space, hidden guns powered up. Invisible eyes opened. A net of silent weapons wrapped the border like a spider's web. The Empire did not see. The Empire did not believe. But Earth had sent its warning. The next move belonged to them. The border of Terran space was invisible, but every hidden weapon on the human side knew exactly where it was. In the cold dark near Neptune, silent ships floated like shadows, waiting. Inside one of them, Captain Lin sat strapped into a narrow seat. Her hands rested on a black console with no lights. She could feel the hum of the engines through the metal floor. Around her, her crew whispered. They were not nervous. They were ready. On the other side of the line, the Empire's fleet grew. Long silver warships formed a triangle formation. Scouts darted back and forth like insects. Their admiral stood in the heart of the command ship, wrapped in a cloak of living metal. His eyes glowed faint blue. To him, this was still a test. He believed Earth had no teeth. Forward, he said. Show the animals our strength. The lead Imperial cruiser slid across the invisible line. Its engines burned white. For a moment, nothing happened. Space stayed black and silent. The crew laughed. One of them sent a message back to the Admiral. Border crossed. No resistance. But inside Captain Lin's ship, a soft tone rang. A circle appeared on her console. They're in, whispered her sensor chief. Orders. Lin's jaw tightened. She was under strict command not to fire first. Her ship was a net layer, a trap not a sword. She glanced at her second officer. Release the veil, she said. Far ahead of the cruiser, tiny machines the size of coins unfolded from nothing. They had been drifting for weeks, dark and dead. Now they woke. Thin wires spread like spider silk across thousands of kilometers. The first Imperial ship moved straight into it. Its hull sensors screamed. The wires cut across shields and began to drain power. Lights flickered inside the alien ship. The laughter stopped. What is this? The alien captain shouted. We are under attack. But no missiles came. No beams of light. Only silence and a slow pull of power. The ship's engines began to choke. It tried to back away, but its systems faltered. From the Empire's flagship, the Admiral watched the feed. His smile faded. They were waiting, he said softly. On Earth, deep under the council chamber, a huge screen showed the same images. Commander Reyes stood with her hands behind her back. Dr. Malik was beside her, pale but steady. Around them, the room was quiet. This was the first test. Would the Empire retreat or strike? They'll fire soon, Malik murmured. They don't like traps. Above, the alien cruiser fired at the wires. Blue plasma burned across the dark, but the silk dissolved before it hit. New strands appeared, invisible, unending. Energy drained faster. The ship began to spin slowly, helpless. Do we take them? Asked Lin's second officer. His voice was eager. Lin shook her head. No. They came to test us. Let them run home and tell their story. Her voice was calm, but her heart pounded. This was the moment Earth had dreamed of for decades, the first time the Empire learned fear. Back at the border, the Admiral gave new orders. "All ships forward," he snapped. "Destroy the source." Silver warships surged toward the trap. Their weapons lit space like lightning. Invisible mines burst, tearing through their formation. A second Imperial cruiser exploded into fragments of blue stone and molten metal. The Admiral stared at the debris. His heart beat faster. "How?" he whispered. "How can a farm world?" Inside his mind, old stories stirred. The Empire had legends about a war long ago, about a species that rose too fast and struck too hard. Those stories were meant to scare children. Now, watching human weapons, the Admiral felt a chill. Could those legends be about these people? On Earth, Reyes watched the battle unfold. "Enough," she said. "Let them retreat. We will not reveal all our weapons yet." She gave a new order. Lin's ship received it at once. "Cut the net," Lin commanded. Her crew pressed black buttons. In space, the invisible silk dissolved. The Imperial cruiser drifted free, engines sputtering. Slowly it turned back toward its fleet. The Empire's ships gathered around it like angry hornets but did not cross the line again. They began to pull back. "They're leaving," whispered the sensor chief. Lin stared at the fading shapes. "They'll come back," she said. "Next time, with fire." On the flagship, the Admiral stood still. His officers argued. Some wanted to strike harder, to burn Earth before it could grow stronger. Others urged caution. The Admiral raised a hand. "Silence. We go home. We report. And then we plan." In his private chamber, he opened a small case. Inside lay an old medallion from a forgotten war. It showed a planet and a sword crossing stars. He traced it with one finger. "Terran space," he whispered. So it was not a myth. On Earth, Dr. Malik looked at Commander Reyes. "Do you think they'll stop?" Reyes shook her head. "No. They'll gather more ships. They'll bring heavier weapons. But now they know we're not prey. That changes everything." Outside the council chamber, ordinary people still slept. Children dreamed. Cities glowed. They did not know that their world had just faced the Empire for the first time, and won a silent victory. But in the hidden bases, in the dark hulls drifting at the edge of the system, humans prepared for the next move. The stars had begun to shake. The Imperial fleet slipped back across the border, broken but not destroyed. Its warships were scarred. Its crews whispered about invisible nets and silent weapons. No one in the fleet had ever seen such traps before. They thought of ghosts, of legends. They feared the small blue world behind them. But fear did not stop the Empire. Fear only sharpened its teeth. Far away on a core world of the Empire, a hall of crystal towers glowed under 3 suns. Inside, the High Council of the Empire gathered. Voices like steel rang through the chamber. Maps of the Terran system floated in the air, flickering with red and blue. The Admiral who had led the test knelt before them. He was no longer proud. He spoke carefully, his stone-blue skin dulled. "They were prepared," he said. "We crossed their line. They did not fire first, but their traps stripped our power. We lost a cruiser. We have never seen this kind of defense." The council murmured. Some dismissed his words. Others looked at the map with narrow eyes. At last a tall figure rose. Her armor shimmered like oil. She was the supreme strategist. "If the Terrans have hidden weapons," she said, "we must strike before they grow stronger. We will send a war host. A true war host." On Earth, hidden antennas caught fragments of the Council's transmissions. Deep under the Arctic ice, Dr. Malik read the intercepted codes. His hands felt cold. "They are calling their armies," he said to Commander Reyes. "This is no longer a test." Reyes stood with arms folded. "Then we must show them more than traps," she said. We must show them our reach. In a hidden hangar under the Pacific, a black ship floated above the water. Its hull drank the light. Its name was Vigilant. Captain Lin stood on its deck, staring at a line of silver crates. Inside each crate was a dart, a probe built not to kill but to pierce the Empire's secrecy. She touched the metal softly. "You're our eyes now," she whispered. "Go far, go deep." That night, the Vigilant left Earth's shadow. Its engines made no light. It threaded past the moon and out beyond Mars, carrying its crew into the dark. Their mission was clear: slip into the Empire's border, learn its plans, and return with proof. No one else had ever dared such a thing. Lin felt the weight of it on her shoulders. Behind them, the planet looked small and pale. "We are leaving home," one young officer murmured. Lin glanced at her crew. "Home leaves with us," she said. "Remember that." Weeks passed in silence. The Vigilant crept through asteroid fields and dead comets. Sometimes they saw old wrecks drifting, silent witnesses of past wars. Sometimes they picked up faint alien signals. The deeper they went, the thicker the radio noise. Soon they would cross into the Empire's true space. Back in the Empire, the war host was gathering. Massive carriers rose from gas giant shipyards. Armored soldiers trained under black suns. The supreme strategist watched the loading bays with cold satisfaction. "They think they are hidden," she said. "But we will crush them before they speak again." On Earth, the Council moved fast. Factories under oceans worked day and night. Drones carried supplies to dark asteroids where hidden stations waited. Still, time felt thin. Dr. Malik had dark circles under his eyes. "If Lin's mission fails," he told Reyes, "we will be blind." The Vigilant reached its mark at last. Before them floated a huge shipyard built into the rings of a brown planet. Hundreds of warships glimmered under its lights. The sight made the crew fall silent. Lin's heart beat hard. "So many," she whispered. "So fast." They launched their first dart. The small probe spun away, cloaked in black dust. It darted between the Empire's ships, gathering images and codes. Back on the Vigilant, screens filled with data. "This is enough to prove their plan," said the sensor chief. "We should leave." But Lin's eyes stayed on a distant shape beyond the shipyard, a new kind of vessel, larger than any she had ever seen. Its hull pulsed like a living thing. Weapons bristled along its spine. "One more dart," she said. "We need to know what that is." The second dart shot off. It moved too close. A pulse of blue light washed over the area. Alarms screamed on the Vigilant. "They've detected something," the sensor chief cried. "Our cloak is weakening." Lin's hands flew over controls. "Pull us out. Full silent drive." The Vigilant began to slide back into the dark. But on the shipyard, a great siren rose. Lights shifted. Imperial hunters launched like silver knives into space. "They're coming," whispered the young officer. In the Arctic base, Dr. Malik watched the live feed from the dart. His breath caught. He could see Lin's ship dodging beams of blue fire. He could see the giant vessel turning slowly, its weapons waking. "They found them," he said aloud. Reyes stood beside him, her face pale but steady. "Can they escape?" No one answered. On the screen, the Vigilant vanished behind a swirl of static. The last image before the feed cut out was the giant vessel's eye-like sensor opening, aglow like a cold sun. The room fell silent. Malik's hands trembled. "If they catch her," he whispered, "they'll learn about all of us." Reyes straightened. "Then we move to the next phase," she said. "Prepare the shield protocol. And pray she makes it home." Outside, Earth spun under its clouds, unaware of the danger racing through deep space. The Empire's war host was rising. The Terran shadow ship was running for its life. And at the edge of the stars, the first sparks of a war older than either side were about to ignite. In the black void between stars, the Vigilant ran silent and fast. Every panel on its hull was dark. Inside, the crew strapped themselves down as the engines pushed them deeper into the dark. Blue fire from Imperial hunters flashed behind them, like knives of light. The ship shuddered as a beam scraped its shields. Captain Lin gripped the controls. Her knuckles were white. "Silent drive is failing," whispered the sensor chief. "They're closing." "Stay calm," Lin said. "They don't know where we're heading." Far away on Earth, Dr. Malik stared at dead screens. The live feed from the second dart had gone silent. He had no way to know if Lin was alive. In the council chamber, Commander Reyes stood like a statue. "We must assume they've been compromised," she said. "Bring the outer net online." Technicians tapped at consoles. In hidden bases around the solar system, weapons stirred. Invisible satellites pivoted. Codes pulsed through dark space. All of it was quiet, hidden, waiting, but ready to spring. Inside the Vigilant, alarms pulsed. A hunter ship drew closer, its long jaws opening to fire. The young officer's hands shook. "We can't outrun them." Lin took a deep breath. "We don't outrun," she said. "We go deeper." She keyed a sequence. Panels slid open to reveal a cluster of black pods. "Everyone to escape positions." "We scatter." Her crew obeyed without a word. They had trained for this. Pods sealed and shot away, each one small and cold. The Vigilant itself changed course, diving toward a dense field of frozen rock and ice. The hunters followed, but their formation broke. One of the pods carried Lin herself. She felt the violent push, then silence. Her pod spun end over end, hiding in the debris. Through a small viewport she watched the Vigilant weave and flicker, a dark shape among stones. Beams cut across space. For a heartbeat she thought it might escape. Then a flash, bright as a sun, swallowed it. The Vigilant was gone. Lin's throat closed. She had no time to grieve. Her pod's cloak came on. She drifted, a grain of dust in the endless dark. Around her, other pods whispered faint signals, checking in. Half were silent. Back on Earth, the Council received a ghost pulse from one of the pods. Malik's heart jumped. "She's alive," he said. "At least one of them is alive." Reyes nodded once. "Get a retrieval path ready. We don't let our people die out there." But the Empire's hunters were still searching. Their sensors swept the rocks like combs through hair. One by one, they found pods and tore them open. Blue fire flared each time. Lin listened to the faint bursts, each one a friend lost. She clenched her fists and stayed very still. Her pod drifted deeper into a crevice of ice. Hours passed. The hunters moved on, thinking the job finished. Only 3 pods remained hidden, Lin's among them. Her oxygen gauge blinked slowly. She tapped a tiny transmitter. A coded pulse jumped into the void. "Alive. Need extraction. Empire war host confirmed. New vessel observed." On Earth, Malik caught the pulse. He exhaled hard. She saw it. She confirmed it. Reyes's eyes darkened. "Then it's real. The Leviathan." She turned to her staff. "Signal the shield protocol. Begin evacuation of the outer colonies. And send a ghost ship to bring her back." Under the oceans, a sleek retrieval craft slid from a hidden hangar. It rose to orbit without a light. Its name was Wraith. 2 pilots sat inside, faces hard. They had one job: slip past the Empire's patrols, pick up the survivor, and come home. No one spoke. Engines flared once, then went cold. The Wraith vanished into the dark. Meanwhile, the Empire's supreme strategist watched the feeds from the hunters. "They were faster than we thought," she murmured. "They have eyes in our space. The war host launches in 5 cycles. Make ready the Leviathan." Deep inside the shipyard, the giant vessel pulsed with pale light. Huge gates opened. Workers scattered. Energy surged along its spine. For the first time in 1,000 years, an Imperial dread engine was waking. Its core burned like a captured star. On her hidden pod, Lynn felt a vibration through the ice. She peered through the viewport. Far away, past the rings of the brown planet, she saw the Leviathan rise. It was larger than a city. Its hull shimmered like liquid armor. Around it, the war host formed up, hundreds of ships like silver teeth. Her breath caught. She whispered into her mask, not for anyone but herself. "We're not ready. We're not ready." The Wraith sped through silent corridors of rock, homing in on her signal. Its pilots threaded between hunter patrols. One wrong move and they would vanish like the Vigilant. They reached the crevice at last. Lynn's pod locked on. A hatch opened. She floated into the dark cabin of the Wraith. "You're alive," one pilot said quietly. "Not for long if we stay," Lynn answered. "Get us out." Engines whispered. The Wraith turned and slid back toward Terran space. Behind them, the Leviathan's eye opened, a blue glow sweeping the void. Lynn watched it fade through the rear viewport. Her hands were cold. Back on Earth, alarms spread through the hidden network. Malik ran a hand through his hair. "We have maybe weeks," he said. Reyes stared at the star map. "Then we make weeks enough. Prepare the next move. If they want a war, they will find it." Outside, the planet spun in sunlight, unaware. Above it, in invisible orbits, new weapons armed themselves. Far beyond Neptune, a black craft carried a survivor home. And on the far edge of the Empire, a giant woke, hungry for a war it believed it would win. The black craft Wraith slid through the outer dark, carrying Captain Lynn back toward the hidden edge of Terran space. No lights showed on its hull. Inside, Lynn sat strapped to a narrow seat, staring at the star map. Each blue dot on the screen was an Imperial warship. There were so many. Her heart felt heavy. "They're already moving," she whispered. One pilot glanced back at her. "Will Earth fight?" Lynn's eyes stayed on the map. "Earth will fight," she said. "But the price will be high." Far behind them, the Leviathan and the war host began to turn toward the sun. Engines lit like 1,000 comets. The Empire was coming, slower than light but unstoppable. Around the Leviathan, smaller carriers carried soldiers and drones. They looked like silver teeth wrapped around a dark heart. On Earth, deep under the Arctic ice, Dr. Malik read the new data from Lynn's dart. His face was pale. "It's real," he said. "The Leviathan is awake. Hundreds of ships." Commander Reyes stood beside him. "Then we go to the next stage. No more hiding." She pressed her hand to a scanner. A new code unlocked. Around the planet, silent stations turned toward space. Submerged shipyards opened. In hidden tunnels under the moon, engineers armed long guns that had never been fired. In one of those tunnels, a huge machine sat under a tarp. Its name was Aegis. It was Earth's first true war platform, built in secret from stolen alien tech. Taller than a skyscraper, wrapped in armor, it was not a ship but a moving fortress. It could launch beams across the void or disappear into a pocket of folded space. Until now, only a few knew it existed. Reyes looked at Malik. "Tell the world nothing," she said. "But move the pieces." Messages moved like ghosts through the hidden network. Ships that had been disguised as freighters dropped their covers and showed black hulls. Asteroid mines re-aimed their launchers. Drones with no markings slipped from the oceans into orbit. A silent army woke, spread across the solar system. Far beyond Neptune, the Wraith entered the net of hidden sensors that marked Terran space. Codes whispered between machines. "Welcome back," a voice said in Lynn's headset. Relief loosened her shoulders, but only a little. "They're on their way," she said. "Bigger than anything you've planned for." "We're ready," the voice answered. "Dock at Station K9. You'll brief the Council." While the Wraith coasted inward, Imperial scouts swept the outer system. Their sensors felt empty space. No sign of human ships. They thought the border was undefended. They sent back simple reports, clear path. Behind them, the war host advanced. On a quiet farm in Africa, a boy looked up at the night sky and saw a faint streak of light. He thought it was a meteor. He made a wish. He did not know it was an Imperial scout burning in the atmosphere, taken by an invisible human weapon. In the Arctic base, Malik whispered to Reyes, if the Leviathan reaches Mars' orbit, nothing can stop it. Reyes stared at the star map. Then we stop it before Mars. She pressed another code. Activate Aegis. All outer sentinels prepare. Inside Station K9, Lin walked into the council room. People rose. Screens glowed. She placed a small black cube on the table. It opened, projecting a three-dimensional image of the Leviathan and the war host. Gasps filled the room. They are coming fast, Lin said. This is no longer a border test. This is invasion. HFY, the old president of the council, leaned forward. Her eyes were sharp. Then we show them our teeth, she said. We will not fire first. But if they cross Mars' orbit, they will find Aegis. Lin's hands trembled. Aegis? You built it. Yes, Asha said. And much more. Out beyond Pluto, the first hidden batteries rotated. In the Kuiper belt, a string of dark hulls formed a crescent. They were unmanned drones with single orders: hold the line, buy time. The Empire's scouts crossed the crescent and felt nothing. They reported, no defense. The Admiral on the Leviathan smiled. Fools, he said. They warn and hide. We will crush them and take their machines for ourselves. Hours later, the war host entered the crescent. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the dark hulls opened. Thousands of micromissiles shot out, each one a spear of magnetized metal. They ripped through the first line of Imperial ships like paper. Explosions bloomed like silent flowers. On the Leviathan's bridge, alarms screamed. Ambush! An officer shouted. The Admiral's eyes blazed. Forward! Destroy everything! He roared. On Earth, screens lit with red symbols. Malik gripped the table. It begins, he said. Commander Reyes lifted a secure phone. Bring Aegis online, she ordered. Deep under the moon, the giant machine woke. Lights burned along its spine. It rose slowly from its cradle, a black shape against gray rock. Space folded around it, hiding it from alien sensors. Its weapons charged, humming like thunder. In orbit above Earth, civilians still saw only a bright star moving slowly across the sky. They did not know a war had begun. Inside the Leviathan, the Admiral watched his fleet take damage. Send the shock troops, he snapped. Break their toys. From huge bays under the dread engine, silver pods launched. They did not aim at ships. They aimed at the planet itself. Each pod carried a seed of living metal, a plague meant to eat infrastructure from inside. The pods shot forward like falling stars. In the Arctic base, alarms rose to a pitch. Malik's eyes widened. They're not just coming for space. They're coming for Earth itself. Reyes's voice was steady. Then Earth will answer. Outside, the black hull of Aegis flickered once and disappeared into folded space. It was on the move, but no one, not even the Empire, could see where. And in the cold void, the silver pods fell toward the blue planet, silent and fast. The silver pods fell through the darkness like cold rain. From the ground they looked like shooting stars, bright lines across the sky. Children pointed from balconies. Farmers stopped their work. No one knew what they were. Only in hidden bases did alarms scream. Dr. Malik stared at his screen. Red dots multiplied over Earth's atmosphere. They're dropping seeds, he said. Living metal. It will eat our power grids, our cities. Commander Reyes stood firm. Then we trigger the Skynet, she said. No more waiting. High above the planet, invisible panels unfolded from old satellites. Thin filaments spread between them, forming a giant web no one had ever seen. For years it had been hidden as space debris. Now it woke. Energy pulsed through it, a deep hum like a storm. As the first pods entered the atmosphere, the web flashed. Bolts of blue-white energy lanced across the sky. One by one, the pods burned and shattered before they reached the clouds. From the ground, it looked like the heavens themselves were striking back. People gasped and filmed it on their phones. They thought it was a meteor shower. They didn't know it was war. But some pods slipped through. 3 hit the ocean. 2 landed in remote mountains. The living metal inside began to spread, tiny silver threads crawling over rock and water. Within minutes, they started to grow, reaching toward power lines and comms arrays like hungry vines. In the Arctic base, Malik's voice shook. We stopped most but not all. The seeds are alive. Reyes turned to a new console. Activate Aegis. It's time. Under the moon, the black fortress moved. Space folded around it like a cloak. In an instant it appeared high above Earth's atmosphere, a huge dark shape blocking the stars. Its hull bristled with weapons, but it made no sound. Inside, operators touched glowing controls. Beams of focused gravity shot down at the spreading metal. Where the beams struck, the living threads froze and cracked. From the Leviathan, the Admiral watched all this on his command screens. He had expected panic. Instead he saw control, precision, hidden power. Impossible, he whispered. They are stronger than the old legends. His officers waited for orders. He raised a clawed hand. Then we test their heart. Prepare the sun spear. On Earth, Lynn stepped into the control room of Aegis. She had come straight from Station K9, still wearing the same torn flight suit. The operators nodded to her. She stared at the giant displays showing the Leviathan and its host beyond Mars. They're about to fire something big, she said quietly. Reyes's voice came over the secure channel. Hold position. Protect Earth at all costs. Lynn looked at the younger crew. This is what we built Aegis for, she said. Stay calm. Stay focused. Out in deep space, the Leviathan's spine glowed. Panels opened like wings. Inside them a long cylinder formed, gathering light from a captured star at its core. The Sun Spear was an ancient weapon, used only twice in the Empire's history. Its beam could punch through a planet's shields and melt a continent. The Admiral had sworn never to use it again, but fear had burned away his oath. In the Arctic base, Malik's sensors screamed. They're charging something, he said. More power than their whole fleet combined. Reyes gripped the table. We knew this might happen. Bring the arc shields online. All around the world, hidden towers rose from oceans and deserts. They had been disguised as weather buoys, oil rigs, even mountains. Now they extended crystal spires toward the sky. Lines of force linked them, wrapping Earth in a lattice of faint blue. People looked up and saw a soft glow in the heavens like a second aurora. Lynn's eyes flicked to the shield readouts. We've never tested them against a sun spear, she murmured. Then today is our test, Reyes replied. The Leviathan fired. A lance of pure white shot across millions of kilometers. It reached Earth in less than a heartbeat. It struck the blue lattice. The world shook. Skies over Africa lit like day. For a moment the shield bent inward, rippling like water under a hammer. Inside the Arctic base, lights flickered. Malik held his breath. Hold, he whispered. Hold. The lattice held. The beam split into 1,000 threads and bled away into space. On the Leviathan's bridge, silence fell. Officers stared at the screens. It didn't break, someone said. It didn't break. The Admiral's jaw tightened. Then we go closer, he said. Bring the war host to the inner system. If their shields can stop our spear, we will crush them hand to hand. In Aegis, Lynn exhaled slowly. Her crew cheered under their breath. But her eyes stayed on the Leviathan. They're not stopping, she said. They're coming in. Reyes's voice came through the channel, steady and low. Then we prepare the final measure. You know what to do. Lynn's hands hovered over the controls. She knew what the final measure meant. Earth had one weapon left, built in secret even deeper than Aegis. It was not a shield. It was not a trap. It was something else, something no one had ever used. In the Arctic base, Malik looked at Reyes. Are we really going to unleash it? Reyes's face was pale but firm. If they cross the orbit of the moon, she said, yes. Above them, the stars looked calm. Civilians still watched the glowing sky and posted videos, thinking it was a strange natural light. They didn't know that beyond Mars, a giant ship was moving closer, dragging a fleet behind it. They didn't know that inside Aegis, a hand hovered over a button that could change everything. Lynn stared at the Leviathan's image one last time. Come closer then, she whispered, and see what waits for you. Far out in the dark, the Empire's war host passed the orbit of Mars, engines burning like a new constellation. The Leviathan led, its eye fixed on the small blue planet. Inside its heart, the captured star burned brighter. The final battle was coming. The fleet moved in like a dark tide. Hundreds of warships spread across the inner system. The Leviathan was at the center, its black hull glowing with captured fire. Its admiral had never come this close to a living world before. He thought of old stories about Earth, but he told himself stories were just myths. One more strike, he said. One last push and their shields will fall. On Earth, people still looked up at the soft blue glow around the sky. They saw only beauty. They didn't know how close death had come. In the hidden bases, however, every console burned red. Commander Reyes stood straight, her hands behind her back. They've crossed the moon's orbit, she said quietly. It's time. Dr. Malik swallowed. If we trigger the final measure, there is no turning back. Reyes's eyes stayed on the screen. There is no back, she said. Do it. Deep under the oceans, older than any official map, the ark stirred. It was not a weapon in the usual sense. It was a seed of a star, built in secret and hidden in the deepest trench. It had been sleeping for 50 years. Now it woke. Its shell opened, revealing a sphere of blinding light. Currents trembled. Whales fled. Above, in Aegis, Lynn's fingers hovered over the controls. She could feel the low hum of the ark through the deck. If I do this, she whispered, the sky will change forever. Reyes's voice came through the line. Do it. Lynn pressed the command. At first nothing happened. Then a line of blue rose from the oceans into the sky. Another rose from the deserts. Another from the mountains. The lines met above Earth, forming a perfect circle of light. Inside the Leviathan, alarms rang. Officers shouted. They're opening a gate, someone cried. A weapon we do not know. The admiral stared at the growing circle. His instincts screamed. Fire everything, he ordered. Now. Beams of plasma, missiles of iron, fields of gravity, the whole fleet fired at once. The shots reached Earth and struck the blue circle. But the circle did not break. It opened wider like an eye. Out of the circle came not fire, but silence. A deep, calm silence that spread across space. The stars behind it bent. Space itself rippled. And then something emerged. It was not a ship. It was not a missile. It was a great dark shape, smooth and endless, like a piece of night made solid. It had no engines, no weapons. Yet every Imperial sensor screamed. Its mass was impossible. Its energy was beyond counting. It moved slowly, as if waking. Dr. Malik stared at his screen. It's not ours, he whispered. It's older. Reyes's jaw tightened. It is ours now, she said. We found it. We learned its song. And we built the ark to call it. On the Leviathan, the admiral felt something he had not felt in centuries. Fear. His claws shook. He remembered the old legends of Earth, the ones he had laughed at. The planet that hid in plain sight. The species that fought gods. The species that found and bound the sleeping giant at the edge of their sea. The dark shape turned its attention to the fleet. It did not speak. It did not fire. It simply reached out. Space folded. One by one, Imperial warships vanished. Not destroyed, gone. Their energy flickered and then was no more. The Leviathan shuddered as invisible pressure wrapped around it. Inside, officers screamed. "We're being erased," someone shouted. The Admiral slammed his fist on the command table. "Stop!" he roared at the shape, though he knew it could not hear him. But it did hear. A voice like wind and thunder filled every channel. It was not human. It was not alien. It was old. "Leave," it said. "This world is under our ward." On Earth, Lynn heard the voice too. She felt tears in her eyes. She whispered. It kept its promise. Reyes spoke into her mic. "Stand down," she told Lynn. "It will do the rest." In space, the Leviathan's admiral made his choice. He cut the engines. He lowered his weapons. "Pull back," he ordered. "All ships retreat." His officers stared at him. "Retreat." One hissed. But the admiral's eyes were on the dark shape. "This is no war we can win," he said. "This is a warning." Slowly, the fleet turned away. One by one, the surviving ships jumped out of the inner system, their lights fading. The Leviathan was the last. Its admiral gave Earth one long look. "We will not cross your space again," he said softly. Then it vanished. The dark shape drifted for a moment longer. Then it turned back to the blue circle. The circle closed. The lines of light sank back into the oceans, deserts, and mountains. The sky cleared. The stars shone as before. Only the faint blue glow of the lattice remained. In Aegis, Lynn sat back in her chair. The control room was silent. "Is it over?" someone asked. Reyes answered from the Arctic base. "For now," she said. "But the galaxy has learned our name again." Dr. Malik looked at the data scrolling past. "We called it," he said. "But will it always answer?" Reyes did not reply. She turned to the window, looking at the calm night sky. For the first time in years, she let herself smile. Far out beyond the edge of the solar system, the Leviathan limped home. Inside, the Admiral sat alone. He thought of the dark shape, the voice, the promise. He knew the Empire would not forget this day. But he also knew the humans were no longer just a story. They were a force that shook the stars. And on Earth, under quiet skies, children played and laughed, unaware of what had just happened above them. The planet kept its secret a little longer. But somewhere deep in the sea, the Ark still glowed, waiting, ready.